we truly have equality of opportunity, which everybody says that they want. Madam Speaker, the connection between public investment expenditure and equality of opportunity is that we have the ability, Madam Speaker, to put a good school in every neighborhood, to put a good hospital in every community, Madam Speaker, to make sure that the garbage truck doesn't only go uptown, but it goes downtown, Madam Speaker. To make sure, Madam Speaker, that we have sewage and water going to communities across, to squatter communities and others. We cannot do that, Madam Speaker, without elevated levels of public investment expenditure. So all those who are interested in the pursuit of equal opportunity for all, Madam Speaker, join with this government as we, Madam Speaker, try to elevate public investment in this country. Equality of opportunity cannot be achieved without public investment expenditure. So, Madam Speaker, we need a public compensation system that is fiscally sustainable and compatible with increased levels of public investment. Madam Speaker, this year, compensation is projected to be 11.7% of GDP. Wow. Remember, we had a 9% rule. Wow. Now, comparing like for like, because we had some allowances in programs, it would be about 10.6% the comparison of GDP. Madam Speaker, inclusive amounts allocated in the first to fourth supplementary estimates, approximately 79.4 billion, Madam Speaker, has been provided, Madam Speaker. And if these amounts remain unpaid over the next few weeks, meeting, Madam Speaker, the targets that we have, our legislation does not leave room to accommodate these amounts in the next fiscal year. We already have a full $1 trillion of expenditure program for next year, inclusive of the second-year payments. And this is not it's just my responsibility as Minister of Finance to be open with information. The space does not exist for the government to pay both the first-year restructured salaries and the second-year restructured salaries at the same time. As such, Madam Speaker, for fiscal sustainability, we'll have no choice to pay these amounts over several years, commencing in 2024-25. Madam Speaker, I wanted to share some of the figures because I know one of the challenges that we have had is that it's a complicated reform. And the way things work, we engage with union, staff associations, and bargaining groups, and they communicate with their members. A reform as complicated as this, sometimes things have gotten lost in translation, and sometimes members don't have the data and information. Now, it's not possible, because of the complexity of the old compensation system, to discuss details in public because everybody's situation is different. When you have 325 grades and 185 allowances, just imagine that matrix. There's room for 30,000 possibilities. You understand? So I know everybody's asking why it's not something that you can come out and talk about because everybody's circumstances are a little different. Going into the new compensation system, which is much more standardized and simple, we can have that conversation. 1 to 16, very easy to understand. But by sharing the aggregate numbers, Madam Speaker, I hope that helps in understanding. Madam Speaker, we have allocated $10.2 billion. We have it on hand for rank and file police officers. $10.2 billion. That is how much, on top of what they have received already for this year, that is how much is in the budget, Madam Speaker, for them to receive in March if, Madam Speaker, we can come to some agreement or arrangement. $10.2 billion. Now, Madam Speaker, There was a previous 10 billion that never went through. I say, Madam Speaker, to rank and file members of the police force, please allow us to pay you the $10.2 billion that we have for you. Madam Speaker, there's an additional $1 billion for district constables and $600 million for members of the Police Officers Association. That's $11.8 billion that is ready to go. Madam Speaker, the total amount that we have for teachers is approximately $12 billion that we have, is budgeted for, is provided for. It sits waiting for you, Madam Speaker, if you just give me the permission, Madam Speaker, through agreement to give it to you. We have $12 billion that we want to get to the teachers of Jamaica, Madam Speaker, and I appeal to you. Madam Speaker, the total amount that we have for doctors is $6.4 billion. And we want the doctors to receive these amounts in March of 2023. Madam Speaker, we want to be in a position for these amounts to leave the consolidated fund in March of 2023. These amounts alone total $30 billion. And this size of payment, Madam Speaker, cannot be accommodated in the next fiscal year, as I mentioned. And somehow, Madam Speaker, with the huge numbers that were swung around in COVID, remember COVID was a time of huge swings. We lost $75 billion of revenue. Then we got back $100 billion and a supplementary come and there's 40. Somehow we have lost sensitivity to the numbers. Yes. Yeah? We have lost sensitivity to the numbers. I want to just remind, Madam Speaker, just put up that chart, $11.8 billion that we have in store for just the members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as well as district constables, exceeds the total increase enjoyed by all public sector workers in each year. Look at the chart, 2020-21, 2019-20, 2018-19, 2016-17, 2015-16, 2014-15, 2013-14, 2012-13. For every year of the last 10 years except one. Except two, 21-22 and 2017-18. For 8 of the last 10 years, Madam Speaker, the amount that we have to go to police officers alone exceeds the total amount, Madam Speaker, that went to public officers. Madam Speaker, the $12 billion approximately that we have in store to pay out to members of the teaching profession in March, Madam Speaker, exceeds the total increase enjoyed by all 110,000 public sector workers in 8 of the last 10 years. That is the volume that we're talking about. Madam Speaker, I've presented, Madam Speaker, these facts. Madam Speaker, I've personally participated in what seems like hundreds of meetings in person, virtually, on the phone, WhatsApp calls, on the weekend, morning,